Testing 1, 2, 3.
Sounds good to me. Amina?
Yep. 1, 2, 3.
Let's go live, guys. How we doing?
Hey guys, welcome to our Monday Live. We have a lot of questions and a lot of stuff going on, so we just made our move. Well, we didn't just make it, but unpacking boxes, it feels like we never got away from moving. So
Hey, boss man.
now in here, because of the sound thing, you have to talk a little louder because it's going to be hard for me to hear you.
So, boss.
You don't have to come closer.
Don't slap, Amina. Don't be shy.
Step it back. Step it back enough.
Heard you was busting my chops last week when I wasn't here. Everybody told on you.
Oh, yeah?
All right, we're going to start with actually not necessarily last week's questions. First, let me give a couple of shout outs. Sammy, we have Juan Valentin. It's his 29th birthday. Give him a
29.
can you give him a happy birthday?
Happy birthday, pal. 29 years old. That's really a great time.
And then we have Beverly and her dog Blue tuning in from the UK. She sent you a picture.
Oh, now I have her picture. And I want to show you this picture. And she says that her and her dog, Blue, from the UK, watches my show. And look at Blue watching my show. And he loves my show. Little Blue. If he ever comes here, I'm going to introduce him to Lily. And I think it's Blue's birthday, right?
No, it's Beverly's birthday.
Oh, it's Beverly's
Yes,
birthday.
it's
Happy
Beverly's
birthday, Beverly. And give your dog a little hug for me. And that's really amazing with the dog watching me on television, which is great. I think that's hysterical.
She said he goes into a trance
He
whenever
goes
your
into
voice.
a trance.
Yep, whenever
All right,
your voice
all
comes
right.
on. So I wasn't here last week, guys, but the week before I had a few of you that I did not answer questions for. So I'm going to ask those questions. Xavier James wants to know, Sammy, what are your thoughts on Paulie Zach?
Paulie Zach was a made guy. He was an historian about the Mafia. Great guy. Everybody liked him. I knew him as a kid growing up, and he really was a great guy. He was a degenerate gambler. He became a made guy, but he couldn't become a captain because he was a serious gambler, and they didn't want to make him a captain. But he was a great guy, nice guy.
Joe Russo wants to know, did you know Petey Red?
Petey Red is very familiar. I knew a couple of Petey Reds. One of them was from Philadelphia. I think his name was Petey Red. And a few guys by that same name. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. If you could tell me which family he was in, I'll say if I knew him.
Okay, Joe Russo, if you're on, write in the chat who and what family he was from. Jason G wanted to know, Sammy, was the Asian Mafia near Little Italy?
It surrounded Little Italy, and at one time they were buying so many buildings in so many places, they had to stop them because they almost bought Little Italy for a while. There was some on the other side of I forgot, Canal Street. It was Chinatown, and right across the street from that was Little Italy. And there's a couple of gambling places they had in Chinatown over there. And we were affiliated with them. But when they started buying, before we got arrested in 90, they had places that they owned right in Little Italy, all over the place.
Mark wants to know, Sammy, do you know anything about Sal Avellino? Can you tell us about him?
Sal Avellino was a good guy. He handled Tony Ducks. He was Tony Ducks' driver with the Lucchese family. He had a famous tape put in his car. His car was bugged, and a lot of conversations came out between him and Tony Ducks, not only about their family, but about the commission meetings when he drove them there. So Sally Avellino had a good guy, just got caught up in some tapes with Tony Ducks. They used some of his tapes in the commission case, I believe.
Okay. This last comment actually happened when I wasn't here, but I'm going to read it to you. It was from Angel Gotti, and she said, "Hey, Gravano, I am not now, or have I ever been, a junkie, unlike some people you know."
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think we all know somebody who wound up taking drugs, and, I apologize for calling you a junkie. If you were not, I apologize. I know a lot of people in my family who are addicted to drugs, and it's a label. I know it's not a nice label, but if you did take drugs, I don't mean it in a negative way, and if you took it that way, I apologize. But I do know one thing, Angel, that you do hang out with some real scumbags, one after the other. And basically, there was things that were said by people in your family about me, and I was annoyed with it. There was things that were said by the scumbags, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to even give them the courtesy of mentioning their names. And they keep mentioning your name to me. So it did annoy me a bit. But if you're not a junkie and you haven't taken drugs, I apologize. I understand you could dislike me for what happened with me and your father, but that's between men. That's between us. We were both in the life. I don't involve my daughter in any of my arguments or beefs, or my son. You shouldn't be involved in those things yourself, but that's your choice, who you deal with and what you do. I do recognize when your nephew just got arrested for some bullshit, and I reached out and I told the government is that don't hurt this kid just because his name is Gotti. So I sympathize with some of the Gottis, and I respect some of the Gottis, and I loved your father, and me and him had a beef. It was between me and him. It never involved my daughter or my son or my family, and I wish it wouldn't involve his son or daughter or family. I know for sure if he was alive, he wouldn't allow it and he wouldn't like it. So I do, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize if I labeled you with something that you're not happy with, and I apologize for it. So hopefully we can go on, and if you ever wanted to talk to me about anything, you don't need a third party or somebody like that. Get in touch with my team, and I'm willing to talk to you sensibly, like adults, like people who are in the life or around the life. So I would definitely give you that courtesy. So let's go on with another question.
All right, we're going to start with the trivia questions. I'm going to jump right in, Sammy. So get your fingers ready. Sammy's viewers in the chat. Janet, we loved you on Patreon. We did the Patreon over the weekend with Karen and Gerard. That was so much fun.
Oh, absolutely. Janet's she's got to be a gangster, bro. She knows everything. So she's really smart. She knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we had a good time. Me, my son, and my daughter, we chatted, and we really had a good time with that.
Yeah.
We're about to do something with Anthony Reggiano, Michael Franchise, myself, and Anthony. It's his birthday, I believe.
Yes.
And we're doing a little show with him. And we'll kick it around. No crazy shit, probably just goofing on each other and stuff like that. So if you guys want to watch that, that would be great.
Yeah.
Anthony's a great guy. I get along good with Michael now. Now that I'm talking about Michael, I just saw a video that Michael did. Wow, it was a whopper. I don't know where he got all that information about the Democratic Party, and he hooks it up. And it's something that gangsters recognize. So I agree with what he said, and it's pretty strong. Look at it. I agree with it 100%. The real government, he said in it, the real government right now, the Democratic Party, is the Mafia. And there's no question about it. The only thing I will tell Michael, if he's listening to this, that this Mafia, this government, is 10 times worse than the Mafia we belong to. Now, they might turn around and say, but we don't kill people. And that's something I saw in The Godfather when his future wife says, well, the politicians don't kill anyone. And he kind of turns around and he tells his future wife, you must be joking. The government kills people much more than the Mafia does. When they're trying to get you, look at this Donald Trump. 2 assassination attempts. 2. Not 1, 2. And every dirty, scummy move you could make as a human being, they have done. I think we're in trouble. I believe what Michael says is true. I'm not going to talk about it long, because I'm telling you, if you want to see a Michael Franchise show of him explaining it, he explains it to the nines. I will tell him, Mike, be careful, watch your back. These people are scumbags. Because you're talking, they'll take you off the air, 1. And if you're talking like you're talking, they're liable to blow your fucking brains out. Be careful, bro. And
Wow.
that's my advice to Michael. But my advice to my followers and everybody who's listening, if you see this show with Michael, it's on YouTube, I believe. I don't even know how it's still on. But he nailed it. He really, really did nail it. So, and I'm going to be with him in a matter of a week, watching the results with Patrick McDavid of the election. And you guys, if you didn't vote, vote. Get out there and vote. And I'm right in the middle of doing this. Somebody's knocking on my door. Maybe they got me. Give me a gun.
You're the jack
over
of all
there.
trades, Sammy.
Yeah, I know.
Got a lot of things going on. This is live, guys.
This is live. Guys at the
and in
door,
person.
knocking on the door, coming in right in the middle of my life. But Amin is running to
That's
take
how we
care
roll,
of it.
baby. It's awesome. Your chat is so awesome. They're just like, go ahead, get
I
the
had a hot
dog.
water tank put in, and it was leaking this morning. And I took a picture of it and called the plumbers and called them back, called the landlord, and that's them coming back in. Amina put them in the garage. Good girl.
Okay, so let's get into this. And when he says, who's being naive, Kay?
Yes, who's being naive, Kay?
Yeah. So
Go
the
take
first,
care of this. Oh, that's Billy. All
it's
right.
Lily.
All right. So yes, let's not be naive that they don't kill.
Yep.
I mean, it's a joke. And aside from what they're doing in this country, which is horrible, you know that I literally feel we're watching a coup right in front of us.
Several.
A coup against Donald Trump. They took Joe Biden out. I mean, they didn't vote him out like you're supposed to. They threw him out like gangsters. And she didn't win an election. She couldn't get 1 vote, and then they put her in because she's another puppet. I mean, look what's being done to us. Even if you're a Democrat, I started off as a Democrat.
Yeah.
Even if you're a Democrat, when you see these moves, how could you say, this is who people I want to run the country? To control our families, our lives. It's sick. It's beyond sick. I just can't understand it when somebody says, no, I'm going to vote Democrat. Why?
It's not what it used to be. I grew up Democrat too. My mom, my family, school teachers, Democrat. Now I'm like, what the hell is going on? That is not how I grew up or wanted to represent.
Exactly. That's why Bobby Kennedy swung over what's the girl with the white streak there?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi Gabbard. She's great. I mean, they swung over. And that's a big gamble. That's a big thing on their careers. And they're just doing the right thing. We're sitting at home. We're just going to put a vote in, and we're just not going to do it. You know. So anyway, let's get off politics. But
Okay, guys. What is Sammy's favorite gangster movie? What is Sammy's favorite gangster movie about the Mafia?
that should be pretty easy.
Yeah, that should be pretty easy. You actually have two choices.
We are not saying anything.
We're not saying a damn thing. Gabriel, we got anybody on TikTok get it yet?
We do.
Okay, don't yell it yet. He's like, okay. We're gonna write it down and put it in the drawing. And you guys, our drawing's gonna go into early November just because of the move. We missed a couple weeks, so we wanna give everybody equal opportunity in that sense. Yep, we got a few on YouTube.
You can start doing super chats.
All right, awesome. Okay, we'll do a super chat and then we'll answer the question. So Mark wants to know, Sammy, what impressed John Gotti about others? How could you impress Gotti? Get him on your good side.
You had to kiss his ass, I think. John Gotti was a narcissist, very, very hard to please him. You had to compliment him and kiss his ass, in plain English. And those are the people he would have near him. That's what he liked. And no, I was super close with him, but I'm not an ass kisser for anybody. I was close with him because I was fixing trials, doing things. I was involved with the Castellano hit with him. I was involved with a lot of things. He was able to trust me and know that I was capable of doing the right thing. I saw a picture somebody sent me today of me talking to Vic Amuso. Vic Amuso was the boss, I was the underboss, and he would send me down to talk with them, and they hated him. Vic Amuso and Gaspipe hated him. The only way to get something done with him, he knew it, is through me. George Gabriel, in an interview, he was the head agent, and he once said Sammy was valuable to John because he was able to sit with other bosses, other main guys, other underbosses, and get things done. And that's because of the relationship I had with them. So, but you couldn't please John that easy.
Nice.
Okay, I got the answers.
Okay, Amina, who do we have?
Well, do you want to tell them what the answer is?
What's the answer?
What was the question?
What's your favorite gangster movie?
The Godfather 1 and The Godfather 2. They should have never made The Godfather 3. So that's my
Pull me back in.
All right, so I'm being generous, so a few extras are getting in here. Pirate Greg, El Gato, Frank Miller, Janet and PA, Draven 5682, Jason G, Mike Sudar, and A-Biz. You guys are all going in the giveaway.
Gabriel, who got TikTok?
We have Michael Jennings 305, Josh Marshall, and Rick Gallen 8.
Congrats.
Bravo,
And these
bravo.
are all going in the barrel,
Yep.
so to speak. I mean, years ago, if I said you're going in the barrel, they would say, "Oh my God, what did I do?" Sammy, no.
But I'm pumped. I don't have my thing queued up. It's, I saw a movie called The Sicilian Ghost, and they used to put the acid in the barrel in Sicily.
Yeah.
They used to use acid, something like
Nah,
that.
I don't know if they even had acid. I mean, they would bury you. They would do different. They put you in the ocean. They put you on a boat. And the thing in the barrel, in other words, you float up. So they would put you in a barrel, you're dead, and they would put cement in there. When the cement dried, you could throw it in the water. It would go right to the bottom of the ocean, and you'd never see that body again.
All right. Aneurysm Fun in the super chat. Hey Sammy, I hope you and your family are well. Nothing but love. If the opportunity presented itself, would you have a sit down with Donald Trump and or Kamala Harris?
Listen, I would love to sit down with Donald Trump. I just watched an interview, and you should all watch this interview he had with Joe Rogan. You could see how intelligent he is. He knew things about windmill and concrete and so many different things. You could see his intelligence. He's a business guy. He knew about taxes and tax breaks and all kinds of things. He knows how the country should run. He knows about different presidents. And he said so many things in that interview. Watch the interview intelligently, open-minded. He talks a little crazy, but he's smart as a whip. And he's right on all the points that he makes. And Joe Rogan is great. I love Joe Rogan. Yeah. He's great. He's a great interviewer. Ballsy guys, he don't step back.
No,
he don't kiss
I was
ass.
surprised.
He just don't do that. He held Trump to an answer once or twice.
Yep.
Trump, answer how it felt becoming the president. And Trump went into this little rant. Trump, tell me what it was. He held his feet to the fire. That's an interview. So if you haven't seen it yet, listen to it and pay attention to it. Watch how smart Trump really is. Yeah. And I really feel that Trump's motive this time around is to show that he can run the country and leave a legacy that he brought this country back to put it in a great position. That's what he wants. He's a little bit of a narcissist, so he wants that reputation after he's dead, is that I'm the guy who made the country right. If I could talk like him, I would. I did it. I can't.
I swear what you said got to him through somebody that you know, because the next thing I heard he's been saying lately is we and our and us.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
No, I know how that got to him because remember he took my my thing. Yeah, and I know somebody who I spoke to and said this, and the guy just texted me recently, when we go down and see Trump, that guy is going to be there. He knows Trump good. And he said, Sammy said, you can't be stopped. If you get rid of those two words, I, me, right, and say we and us, everybody will love you. The only reason people don't vote for you is because they hate you. Now, and that's the worst reason in the world. I don't care if you love him, hate him. It doesn't matter. What he does and his politics are great. So, that's the important thing. That's what you got to look at. You're not going to go to bed with him. You're not going to marry him. You're not going to do anything with him. Yeah. So look at his policies. He talks a little crazy. I admit it on occasion. But, and I never got a kick out of a president in my life. No president ever made me laugh. I mean, he's done something like, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, and they made songs out of it and everything. I mean, everybody's hysterical. He's great. Yeah. Now you look at he does this dance, and every time I'm on Facebook or somewhere, everybody's doing it.
Legend.
Everybody loves that dance. Women are dancing like that, men, kids. He's something about him is, he does something or says something, and it just hits everybody.
Yeah.
Listen. That's a guy with a sense of humor, with balls, with brains. We're going to be fighting countries all over the world. They are already. If we don't have a strong president, all these wars are starting to break out because Biden is brain dead. Now you're going to get Kamala Harris. Are you joking? Nobody's going to have respect for her. Nobody. She's a joke. They want her to win. Mm-hmm. They are backing her. They want her to win because we're self-destructing with somebody like that. We're an easy fight. Now, they'll be dealing with morons. Yeah. And like I said, that Michael Francis, to me, he hit the nail on the head. When I see him, I'm going to shake his hand and give him a kiss, and I'm going to tell him, bro, that's the best thing you ever did. You showed balls by doing it. I love you for that. You know, I don't never look at you as a gangster. I looked at you as a racketeer. That's a gangster move, what you just did,
Wow.
bro. And my respect for you went up quite a bit. So,
It's going to be a good election night.
yeah, and he'll be there for election night with me and with my crew.
Yeah. Okay, Christofornos, Sammy, did you know Spiros the Greek from Astoria?
I didn't know him personally. I heard of him. I met him a few times. Real tough guy, great guy, a real tough guy. Yes, I did know him. He had a brother, and real good guys.
Zeppelin Mar in the Super Chat. Sammy, did you know Gambino family captain James Eppolito or his son Jimmy?
Yes, yes, I knew both of them. James Eppolito was killed in a car by Roy DeMeo, and I believe they were going to kill the two of them, Jimmy and his father and his son. But that's a whole story. I'm not going to get into the whole story. I did know them.
Mark wants to know, would you be interested in getting the Gemini Lounge twins on table in the back?
I'm not super excited about that, but I would talk with them. I knew both of them, so I would talk to them. The way it sounds to me is they changed their lives. You know, they did a lot of horrible things, but they were under orders to do it. So maybe it wasn't something that they did and they weren't super excited to do it, but in the life you did what you had to do. There was things I had to do that I wasn't excited about doing, and I wish I didn't do it, but you follow the rules of the life or you die. So I don't knock them. They did, about 30 years, 30 some odd years. And they seem to have changed their life. A warden, their superiors said that. Now, a warden and the superiors and the guards, they know you better than everybody. They're with you for 30 years. They know if you really changed their life. So if they recommended it, and they have family members, I know a daughter, stuff like that, who survived and are waiting for them, I would talk to them. Yeah, I would talk to them. I wouldn't get too crazy about what they did. I understand the life and I understand what they did and they had to do it. If they change their lives and they really want to go forward, and if I could help them in some way by building their program, if they open up a YouTube or something, yeah, I would sit with them. Everybody deserves a second chance or a third chance in life. So, Anna, the plumbers are here fucking up the shower again.
This is
So,
hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. I'm in between plumbers and everybody else. All right.
Mark wants to know, do you feel that the RICO law is unconstitutional?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was made for Italians, the Mafia, to put us away. And then it spread. They didn't like the idea, it spread, but it spread to everybody. Blacks, Hispanics. I saw so many guys in prison under the RICO law. They didn't deserve it. I don't think we deserved it. Then they used it against Trump. It's a nasty law that it's almost impossible to beat. I think they have a 98 or a 99% conviction rate. So what do you want to give them? It's like you want to play cards with a guy who's a mechanic who really knows how to cheat, and you're not going to beat the guy. So this is the same thing. This law should go.
All right. Jason G. Hey, Sammy, what was your favorite decade to be in the Mafia and why?
In the 80s, I think, was a great time. There was a lot of, people together. I was under Tato Arello, and I loved him. He was my mentor, my real mentor in the Mafia. I really looked at him as my father. I used to go over his house, pick him up. He was still taking a shower. His wife would make me coffee and cookies in the morning, and I felt like I was in family. His son, Charlie Boy, I grew up with him all my life. I knew him, he was a great guy. So that was my best time before the hit in with Castellano. It was much better times. You know.
Do you remember any of the music from the early 80s? What did you used to dance to?
Yeah, I remember. I mean, Sinatra and Dean Martin and all that stuff came out. I loved that music. It was really good. But I did like Motown. I loved Motown back then. So I enjoyed all that music. When I was younger, you went down Greenwich Village, smoke a joint, pick up hippies and all that shit. So it was all a great time for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the next trivia question, guys. Recently, guys, Sammy signed a sworn affidavit and agreed to testify again to get a made member out of prison. Who was it? All right, well, they are manning the chats and looking for the answers. I'm going to jump into another super question, a super chat. From Nolan, hi Moore. Hey Sammy, I did what you did. I told a beautiful woman I just wanted to go home with her. It only took 30 to 40 attempts and quite a few slaps, but hey, it worked. So thank you, Sammy.
You know, again, women know that they're bullshitted. You meet a girl for an hour and you're telling her you love her. She knows she's being bullshitted. You're opening the doors for her. You're buying her flowers. After you get laid, there's no more opening doors. There's no more flowers. There's no more nothing. So, but they know that bullshit. So it does work. Sometimes being honest gets you more than being dishonest with it.
Let's see. Everybody thinks it's Bobby Manna.
Well, I'm going to give you a couple of clues.
It's kind of hard. I mean, it is kind of a tough one.
Bobby Manna, they give them a right for that, because it was right. I did do that for Bobby Manna as well, and
somebody closer to you.
Somebody a little closer to us, the Gotti case, and it didn't work in both places. The government rejected it. The other guy was, did anybody guess it?
Yeah, I got quite a few people actually.
Yeah, they're starting to get it now.
All right.
Yeah.
The other guy was Frankie LaCasio. And Frankie LaCasio, I testified that he knew that the hit was going to happen, but he had no part in the hit. And I'm going to give the government a little credit, because I told them that, because they said, Sammy, why are you testifying against the government? And I said, listen, you guys told me one time, as long as I tell the truth, you'll never be mad at me. Well, this is the truth. I know it's going to hurt you or your case or whatever, but I'm going to tell the truth. And they said, to their credit, they said, go ahead and do it. John Gleason, George Gabriel, go ahead and do it. Say the truth. If you believe that's the truth, then say it. So I did it with him. I almost got, he was denied, and then his lawyers went to the Second Circuit, which has appealed the judge's decision. The Second Circuit sent back a message to Judge Leo Glasser, have a hearing and bring Sammy into that hearing. And he refused to do it. Those are his bosses. He's supposed to do it. He never did it.
So you would have went back to New York to do this?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Because he knew that it was going to happen, but he had no part in it. So that's different than being part of the murder. In other words, there is another law. If he knows something is going to happen because he was on the administration, and you don't tell the police, That's a violation of the law. But you face 5 years, not life without parole. So he was charged with the murder of it under RICO again, and he got convicted and he got life without parole. So I testified, I signed papers, I did everything for Frankie LaCasio, and you're right, with the other guy, Bobby Manna, I did the same exact thing. But neither one of them got relief from what I did. I know I got heartaches. There were agents who didn't know me, and they were part of the new breed of agents coming up and were real pissed off at me. But so be it. They didn't do anything. I just got a little tough time with it. And I could see that the resentful questioning I got when they asked, why are you doing this? I said, listen, because it's the right thing. I didn't get money. I never talked to them. I talked to their lawyers. They didn't talk directly to me, my lawyers. They talked to my lawyers. So I just told the truth. If you like it, fuck you. And left. Thank God they didn't go further and hurt me or do anything, but I did that I did it twice. That became very public. I did it a few other times that are not so public. But I never had trouble with the government. They never went after me because I think I got an excessive sentence in California. I got a 20-year sentence. People who were doing ecstasy or some bullshit were getting 5 and 6 and 7 years. I got 20 years, lifetime supervised release, and a $100,000 fine. So I think they smacked me in the fucking wrist with that because of doing those things. But that's life. That's life.
Can we name the people?
Oh, yes.
Acting for Fun Lions, Matthew Wells, Frank Miller, and Alan Chabot.
Any from TikTok get it? I know TikTok's your younger generation, so it might be, I know they're kind of harder questions.
Yeah, no, they did. They all guessed Bobby Manna as well. But like Sammy said, we'll give it to him. So we have Tony Logan 420, C2, and Peabody 76. I want to read off the winners from before. Sounds like they were saying it was frozen and they couldn't hear it. So the winners of the first question, Michael Jennings 305, Josh Marshall, and Tony Logan 420 as well got that question right.
Thank you,
Great.
sir.
So they're all going in the barrel.
Yes. Okay, the Bonzo with the envelope for you, boss. No comment, no question. He gave a little cross, sign of the cross.
Thank you so much, bro.
Don Dermody in the super chat. I appreciate you very much and I respect your perspective. What is your takeaway with using the RICO Act on Little Durk? Little Durk was a rapper that got arrested for murder the past week. And like the YSL, the big YSL corrupt court case going on in Fannie Willis's district in Georgia. And same thing with Diddy. He's getting charged with the RICO as too.
Well, like I told you, I mean, that RICO law spread, and it's hard to fight that law. And here's what the RICO law does. This is what happened to Frankie LaCasio. If you, in any way, shape, or form, are involved in some crime, you're held responsible in furtherance of the crime. Even though P. Diddy did it, somebody might have been in some way helping him, and he can get sucked in, or she can get sucked into it. And even if they prove that they were sucked into it, and they didn't take any major part of it, it don't matter under the RICO. Once you're sucked in and you're part of it, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to kill Amina, this poor bitch. I'm always killing her, but I love her. I'm going to kill Amina. I tell Anna to get me a gun off of my son. She goes and gets a gun. She has nothing to do with it. She don't even want her to die. I take the gun, I do it. She's sucked in. She's sucked in on the first-degree murder through the RICO. If it wasn't for the RICO, she could be charged with an accessory to murder if she knew about the murder was happening, or she could get, some lower sentence because she just went and go get the gun. and she didn't know exactly what I was going to do with it. But under the RICO, you're sucked into the max. And that's just the way it is. That's the law. You're stuck with that law. And like, I don't know if I said it, but they get a 98 to a 99% conviction rate. So when you're pinched, I did time with a lot of black guys and Hispanic guys. They'd come to me. I knew the law a little bit. I would look at these poor bastards. I said, bro, see if you could take a plea and get out of this case. Because that little bit you did, to me, you're not guilty, but not to the courts. You're going to be found guilty, and you're going to get some shit-ass lawyer. They got 3, 4, 5 major lawyers. You're going to get some broken-down ex-cop to be your,
Public defender.
not public defender. The cop is an investigator.
Investigator, yeah.
Their investigator is the FBI. So look what you're up against. 4 or 5 really knowledgeable lawyers, the FBI, against your broken down cop and your broken down lawyer. See if you could take a plea. Get out of it. Get a reduced sentence. Not even writing, just take a plea, admit your guilt, take a good slap on the wrist and go. But fighting it, if you lose, you're going to get the max.
Damn.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
Dawn also would like to know where she could find your artwork for sale. Arthing.tv/shop. I can't talk today. /shop. Say it 5 times fast. Dawn, head over to SammyTheBull.com. It'll lead you straight to Arthing, or just go to Arthing.tv, and his whole shop is up there, so you'll see it. Let's see. Steve Jackson. I heard Paul Castellano asked John Gotti to look at possibly taking out DeMeo, but Gotti thought it was too difficult due to the crew around DeMeo. If you had gotten the order back then, how would you have planned that hit?
It would have been a tough hit. Everybody around him was a tough guy, a killer. It would have been a tough hit. I remember Frankie the Chico called me up and he says, Sammy, I got Roy's ticket. I knew exactly what that meant. I says, all right, I'm going to head down to Bath Avenue. I'll talk to you in a little bit. I didn't want to talk on the phone. So I went down to Bath Avenue and I met him. And I said, bro, you got to be careful. They're all tough guys. He says, I got it. He says, I got the twins. Those are the kids who just made, men who just made a release. And they're going to kill them. And we're going to take the contract off of them and transfer them to another family. We made a deal. I made a deal with them. I said, all right. But if you need me, I'm a race. I got it. They're going to do it. I got it. Great. And I said, what happened? I heard John Gotti had the hit. He said, Paul gave him the hit. It looked like he was shitting in his pants a little bit. That was his terminology. And very nervous about it. Paul saw that, pulled it away from him, and gave it to me. I said, okay. And sure enough, the twins killed him. Put him in the trunk of a car. Later, at a funeral, after we took over, I was at a funeral. One of the twins was there. He came over. He talked with John. Frankie and Chico was still alive. And we gave him a release to go to the Lucchese family. I believe the both of them went there. And so they lived up to what their part of the deal was. We lived up to what our part of the deal was, even after Castellano was gone. Mm-hmm. So, and now they're out.
Wow. Wow.
That's why, one of the reasons I would love to sit down with them and, in a way, to find out, go over that whole story and see what's what.
Wow. Okay, Peter O'Keefe wants to know, why wasn't Gene Gotti on the Paul hit?
John Gotti said, like in the military, when you're going to go in a war zone, sometimes they don't send 2 sons, because a mother would lose not one son, but both sons at once.
Oh, yeah.
John came up with that ridiculous argument, and we said yes. We didn't care. He wasn't important to the hit, and if he wanted him out, we said, okay, we don't need him. We have a full crew. We don't need him on the hit. And he wasn't on the hit. I'm sure he was aware of it, probably, but he wasn't on the hit. And it's not that he didn't have the balls. I think Genie's one of the ballsiest guys in the Gotti family. I know him very well.
El Gato, in America, is it better to pay for a lawyer or not?
Well, in America, if you don't pay them, you ain't getting one. So
Always lawyer up.
you got to lawyer up. You have to lawyer up. You know, they said it takes a fool to represent himself. You know, you don't know the law. You're not good. You're being charged with it. Talking to the jury is nonsense. You're never going to sound right. You always want somebody to talk for you in court.
Yeah.
So it's you have to do that.
Mark wants to know, Sammy, how did you avoid wiretaps?
I really didn't avoid them. I got caught. I believe it was the agents did an interview with Diane Sawyer when I did a show. My office had 5 different bugs in different parts of my office. So no matter what part of my office you were in, you were caught on tape. We had 9,000 hours. Think about it. A work week is 40 hours. 9,000 hours of tape. Diane Sawyer asked the agent, how the hell did you just listen to this? Well, we listen to them periodically. To try and listen to 9,000 hours, or you can't. But he said Sammy and them were very cagey. They really didn't talk about crimes. They talked about baseball, football, some girl's beautiful ass, something stupid that had no value to us. When guy would come over to him, we'd hear Sammy say to the guy would grab him. And Sammy said, what's up? The guy would squeeze his arm. Sammy knew it was an important conversation. He would get up and he'd go walk in the schoolyard or somewhere, and they would have walk talks. Sammy was very conscious of bugs. So 9,000 hours of tapes, Sammy, his crew, or nobody was ever hurt by them. All bullshit conversations. Wow. About women, about sports, about business. He really was in business. He had a lot of business conversations, which wasn't illegal. So that's how I avoided it. When I got in my car, I assumed that the car was bugged. No matter where I went, we're creatures of habit. And I know every time I go to that same spot, even if I'm outside talking near a parking meter, if I've done that more than once, I don't do it again. I go to another parking meter somewhere else, or a tree or something, because I assume that they could bug it. And I didn't get caught on bugs. I got caught on bugs in that apartment with John Gotti, but never in a bad conversation. Anytime the conversation went a little sour, I would tell him, John, hold up, bro. Let's go take a walk. And we did a walk talk. I almost forced it. It's not that I forced it, but I didn't want to talk in that house, that building. In his office and downstairs in the club, I found the bug in a chair.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And we knew it was bugged. Mm-hmm. So I always would go out. If I talked in the club, I'll give you an example, when John told me, and it was planned, who do you think killed Castellano? I said, listen, he was under the fucking scrutiny of the government. They couldn't get him. I think they killed him. Now, how do you use that tape? What do you do with that tape? They feel they're real comfortable, and here, Sammy don't know. He's taking a decision, the government did it. What are you going to do with that tape in court? So I'm caught on tape, but I said crazy things like that. And there's a few conversations I had in my office about Oprah Winfrey. I don't think she would have liked me if she heard those conversations, but I don't think they ever came out in court. And that's how I avoided tapes or getting caught. I demanded that. In tallies, it was bugged as well. We had a device. They called it 1,000 voices. We put it on, 1,000 voices talking at the same time. So all you heard is, it was really like that. Then we had a jukebox, and it was always loud. And then we had 15, 20, 25 guys sitting down eating. You hear glasses clanging, dishes, who's talking. So to catch an individual conversation was extremely hard, and it made no sense. So that's what I did to avoid getting busted with stuff.
And you see how they portray the walk talks in the movie, like in Casino, where he had the cigarette to his mouth or the toothpick, and he's like,
Right.
who's this guy, who's this guy? You know, but you cover your mouth.
Exactly. And here's what we used to do. We know, you ever watch, if you guys ever watch a football game, there's a guy with a big round screen and a thing, and he's pointing it. The football guy, the quarterback, he's fucking a couple of 100 feet away. And you pick up exactly what they're saying. You could hear it. So I always knew that. So when you talk, it's the voice is like on waves. When you talk and you go like this, it does two things. One, it hits you and bounces. It breaks the waves. You can't get caught. Two, they can't read your lips. This is the government you're dealing with. Don't underestimate, they have people who can read your lips. So you go like that, you can't read my lips, and my voice bounces into my hand and up in the air, and it's shambles. You need that clear cut flow of air with your voice. It carries in that form. So
Fascinating.
yeah, and I never got caught on tapes, and I was taped a lot. It's not like I wasn't. My office alone had 9,000 hours. The trailer, where construction site, the cars, and every place else, only God knows how many hours. And no one got hurt. Not me, not my crew, anybody else, or they didn't use them in a case against anybody, ever. That's just what the feds told Diane Sawyer.
Wow. All right, guys, we're going to head into the third and last trivia question of today. It's a good one. It's a good one. Where was Sammy when he received the news his son Gerard was hit by a car? Where was Sammy when he received news that his son Gerard was hit by a car? All right, I'm going to go into a super chat while we get the crew to round up some some answers. Let's see. Retracted. Okay. Let me go into the regular chat. Regular chat, if anybody has a question, go ahead and put it in there. Oh, acting fun for lions. Sammy, could you imagine Quack Quack with a cell phone?
You know, John got his. Let me tell you something that John Gotti said about Angelo Ruggiero, Quack Quack. He said, you can get, back then there was no cell phones. The big telephone book. He said, you can get the telephone book, turn to any fucking page, call any number, and say, what did Angelo say? And they'll give you an answer. He talked to fucking everybody, anybody in the phone booth. He said, the guy don't know how to shut up.
Oh my God.
But that was the funniest thing I ever heard. When he said that, the whole club busted out laughing.
Ellen Shabbat wants to know, was Frankie Lowe a gangster or a racketeer?
Gangster.
What were his top qualities that made him that gangster?
He was tough as a bastard. He was tough. He had an Albanian guy around him, Zeph, and another real tough bastard, a shooter. And Frankie was quiet and a tough guy. He ran a Bronx crew, and it was no joke.
Nice. How are we doing on the answers, guys?
Good. Got a couple guys. Just gonna do
Couple?
two more.
Okay. Yeah. Who's... No, I can't. They almost got me on tape, Sammy. They almost got me on tape. Let's see. Okay, Francis. Did any wise guys have any arbitrary altercations with the public, like a road rage incident or a fight at the butcher's or anything with the civilian?
With a civilian?
Like your road, remember you and James were in the car and you were screaming at a guy in the crosswalk? Like,
Yeah.
what happened? Like, have you heard any crazy stories like that?
Well, there's a lot of things. John Gotti got busted. He came out of a place and a truck driver was breaking his balls about he was double parked or something. He got into a fight. He got pinched. He wound up beating the case. And the guy in the newspaper article said when the guy came to court, he found out, he read in the paper, he's testifying against a boss of a family. And the newspaper, when the judge said, is that the guy you had a fight with? He said, no, I forgot. And the newspaper said, the witness so-and-so forgot he forgot.
He forgot it.
He forgot he.
The witnesses of Fugazi.
So-
I got the names.
Okay, we got names from YouTube.
Okay, we got Johnny D, Danny Murphy, Janet MPA, Mike Sudar, Peter O'Keefe, and Mike.
Awesome. That is YouTube. Gabe, how we doing on TikTok?
TikTok. We got a few correct answers. They guessed funeral. We have Cameron S69. We have Tony Logan 420. And those are the only two so far.
All
All
right.
right, that's
Go
it.
ahead. Give him the answer. Tell us.
What was it?
Where were you when you got news that Gerard was hit by the car?
I was at Angelo Ruggiero's funeral with John Gotti, my brother-in-law, Eddie, Big Louis Valerio, and I got word that my son had got hit by a car. And my brother-in-law spoke to his wife, my sister, and when he came over to me, he called me out. I walked out into the hall with him, and he said, your son just got hit by a car. And I said, is he alive? And he says, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Your sister started crying and hung up on me. My heart dropped. I went, I called my sister, and I said, what happened? He got hit by a car. She's crying, and I said, is he alive? And she hung up on me. I said, oh my God, he's dead. And I went to John Gotti, and I says, I gotta leave. I left the funeral parlor with Eddie and Big Louie shooting back. I got on the phone again, and he was alive, but he was in the hospital and was busted up. And I made arrangements while I was going to the hospital. It was a Staten Island hospital. I reached some people in a New York hospital, and I made connections that they would accept him in there. I made another call to a place that has ambulance. The ambulance went to the hospital in Staten Island, picked him up as soon as I got there, put him in the van, and took him to New York Hospital. And then I drove over to New York Hospital with my driver, Louis Cicenti, and he was really fucked up a little bit. His legs were hurt. He had, tubes going in and out of him and stuff, and I just couldn't go home. I told the nurse, I gave her a few dollars, get me a fucking chair, I want to stay here in the hospital. There was a black woman who had a child. They allowed her to stay, but there was nobody in the room but the black kid, so she could stay in the other bed. There was somebody in the room with my son, so she got me a chair that you could put your feet up, and she got me a pillow and shit like that. She didn't want to take the money. I said, no, take the money. Just don't let nobody bother me. Let me stay with my son. Come in and check him. Wake me up if I'm sleeping when you're going to check him. So, but he got out a couple of days later. He survived. Slightly retarded.
Just a little brain damage.
But I had it from the accident. I blame the accident. Either that or it was from my wife's side, not mine.
Stop it.
Ashley Cookman Lyons wants to know how old was Gerard when that happened.
He was a kid. He was a kid. He was on a mini bike. We had a mini bike on the farm. We lost the farm, and I took the mini bike back. It was in my garage. Same thing as John Gotti's son. Took it out at night when we weren't there and driving it in the street, and he crashed into a car. Same exact thing, but John Gotti's son died. My son survived it, and
So John Gotti's son died before Gerard got hit.
Yes,
Okay.
way before. That's why when my son was in the hospital, John Gotti came on a visit right away, and he grabbed me in the hall. He said, "Sammy, this is exactly what happened to my son." And he was shooken up, but I said, he's going to make it. He's busted up a little bit. I think his leg was broken. A few things were fucked up, and then, but he was going to be okay, and it was the same exact thing. Me and John hugged each other.
Wow.
I think we both cried. You know, it's a hell of a thing to lose a family member, especially a kid at that age. So he was real young on a mini bike. I don't know what he was, 10, 11, whatever he was. Young kid. I don't know, remember the exact age. I'd have to check, but young kid.
It's like you guys are the most powerful men in New York at the time, but so helpless to help your, you know what I mean? Like
Now, there's nothing you could do with accidents, certain things like that. It's up to God. It's not up to us. It's really up to God. You know, if you lose them, you pray to God, wherever he is or wherever he's going, take care of him. And that's all you can do.
Yeah.
You know, and sulk about it. And John sulked about it for a long time. But there's nothing you could do. But that's where I was. I was in Angelo Virgilio's funeral.
Paul Caputo wants to know, if you never got pinched, do you think you'd still be on the streets today?
I don't know. I've got to ask that questions a lot of time. Listen, John brought out so much heat. I don't know if we would have survived. Angelo Reggiano said it best. He said, Sammy didn't take down the mob. John did. With his actions, his mouth, and all that shit. Everything combined went against us. The New York State organized crime, the DEA, the FBI, the Eastern District and the Southern District. The entire government came out against us. It's hard to fight an entire government, no matter how careful you are. There's always something, and there's always somebody who's going to flip or something and say something. They'll use them right away. It's hard. I think we would have lasted longer if he didn't act like he did and stayed low key. We might have lasted a few years longer. And once you last a few years longer, who knows how long you would have lasted? I don't know. But I think when you have that kind of heat, it's almost an impossibility. You're always going to say or do something that's going to be on some sort of tape or somebody's mouth or somebody flips or something. I don't know. I really don't know. I know in this day and age, they have CIs walking around. OC Shorts just did something about Mikey Scars was walking around with a bug on. I mean, that's the worst kind of cooperation. When you're walking around, meeting your friends, and you're wired, everything you're saying to them, you know there's guys in a car or somewhere writing it, listening. I mean, I never did that. I would never do that. That's a whole nother breed. So.
And you got a lot of people in the chat agreeing with you about Gotti and just how it all went down. And
yeah, you know, he had some potential. I think he fell in love with himself when the media started looking at him. I mean, here's a guy who's starting to get 2 haircuts a fucking week. His hair shampooed and combed for him every day. Cars were spotless. He was playing. I think he would want to be what I'm doing now. Social media, being an actor, I think he would have been happier doing that than being a mob boss. He forgot what it is to be a mob guy. You never caught, whether it was Carlo Gambino, Chingiganti, I don't care what boss. You never saw a boss doing this. The only guy who was close, I think, and fucked up was Al Capone. He's another guy who was a little bit of a womanizer, and he flashy and all that bullshit, and he went down the same way. Once you accumulate that much heat, it's just like this P. Diddy.
Oh, God.
There's a lot of guys and people doing disgusting shit. When you take it to a whole nother degree, and then you got the whole fucking media, government, everything. He's on a RICO case too. Once you get to that level, you're finished. You're done. I think he's done. Now you have these other fucking jerks who, these gay guys who are grabbing kids.
Oh, yeah, the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch.
Yeah. I mean, what the
crazy.
fuck are you thinking? What's wrong with you, bro? I mean, if you're gay and you want to suck a dick, go ahead. But you're going to snatch kids and force them or drug them? Where's your fucking head? Where'd you go? Being gay is one thing. This is not a gay.
No.
This gay is gay. There's a lot of gay people I know, good people. This is insanity. You know, so don't blame the gay people that it's a gay thing. It's gay, but it's weird. It's beyond gay.
Right. Okay, let's get to one last super chat. If it was not answered this week, guys, we'll do it at the top of the week next time. Pie Guy 78. Sammy, do you think they are still watching you to break your balls? Do you think the feds are watching this show?
Let me tell you something. I'm going to be honest. Maybe my parole officer is going to get mad at me. My parole officer came to me last week. I got approved to go to Florida to do this thing with Patrick David and Michael Franchise. They're great with me. And I pay on my fine. I've been paying for years. I started off with $25 a month when I was in prison. Then they raised it to $50. Then they raised it to $100. Then they raised it to $125. My parole officer just told me, he says, Sammy, the government is watching you. They're watching, they know you're in Hollywood, they know you're doing everything you're doing. And don't get worried, they like it. They really like, you've been out 7 years, really like everything you did. I never even got a parking ticket. They're real happy with it. But they feel that you're not paying enough on your fine. Now, they want to try to get me off parole, but you can't owe $1 on your fine. Through the years, I paid $6,000. I owe $94,000 on the $100,000 fine. So he told me, he says, if you make some money, pay the fine off, and we're going to try and get you off. You've been really good, and they're loving you in Washington. He said, and if you can't do that, I understand it, but raise it from $125 a month to $200, so that you get us, them off our back. Why ain't you getting more? So I says, okay. And I had told Amina, as soon as we're done with the couple of payments, January, start giving them $200. And as soon as I get a hefty paycheck somewhere, I'll pay that on the $94,000, and then they're going to try and get me off of parole, because even my sentence is so exaggerated.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was helping people beat their cases, or some of these things that I put in. People were getting 5, 6, 7 years for ecstasy. I got 20, and lifetime supervised release.
Right.
It's not even if you murdered somebody, and $100,000 fine. And they had confiscated everything I had, so I didn't have a fucking penny. I could never pay. While I was in jail, I was paying $25 a month. But so, no, I don't think I think they are watching me, but not for the reason that they got a hard on for me or they want to put me back in jail. I don't think so. My parole officers are great. They keep me straight and honest, and I do the right thing. Whatever I'm not supposed to do, I don't do. Occasionally, I like to crack somebody right in the fucking face.
Allegedly.
I do. I mean, but now I've become a born-again Christian, and I never wanted to do that because I gave them my word I'm going to do the right thing, and I try to do the right thing. And hopefully I'll get off this parole someday. Not complaining about the parole because they've been great.
Just hit him with the holy water now, Sammy. Just boom.
Yeah. even though I did crack a guy in the face in the gym a couple of weeks ago, right? A couple of weeks.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
And see, those are my girls. They'll take the fifth. All
don't
right, so I
recall,
won't even
officer.
talk about it. I did give somebody a little crack, but
On that note, happy Halloween, everybody. Be safe out there. Can you give us your fondest memory of Halloween with the kids? Did they go trick-or-treating? Did you guys carve pumpkins?
no, they went trick or treating all the time and stuff like that, and we would dress them up a certain way. Well, my wife did dress them up a certain way. We would put all kinds of like a cork. You burn the cork, and you put it on them. They look like a pirate. So my son was a pirate sometimes, and it was good. We grew up. My family had some good times.
That's awesome.
All right, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up, and we're gonna do the Christian wrap up. Peace and love, motherfucker.